Miranda, let's roll this clip of Trump saying he doesn't want to make life too comfortable for journalists who are in the briefing room. This was earlier today, again, at that press conference, S2.
You're building a big, beautiful ballroom. Yeah. Could we build a big, beautiful briefing room? Updated technology, more seats.
I don't want to do that. I don't want you to be comfortable. No, I don't want to make life comfortable.
Okay, Miranda. What's your reaction to how the press has covered this story just over the last 72 hours? First, the rumors were spinning that it was going to happen, and then it happened today. What did you make of how the press corps responded?
It's just kind of typical, but that was quite an amusing banter. And I think that the Washington Press Corps ought to be careful about what they wish for, because where the press room is now, I assume you know exactly where it is, the pool room, what used to be the covered over pool that JFK used to swim in, that is right outside the Rose Garden. It's a very convenient spot right in the center of the action. And now that Donald Trump's paved over the Rose Garden, and he's talked about, I mean, I don't know if he's joking, but he's talked about turning it into kind of like a private, very private, exclusive club, and having, cigars smoked out there, and, inviting over senators and congressmen and favored people. Now, the press room has got an eagle-eye view on that, and it would be the most magnificent stories and gossip, and especially if they're drinking and, having some cognac and cigars. God, I mean, imagine what might go on late at night. So you would want to stay in that press room, even though it is a little bit cramped. I also think they quite like the fact that it's cramped, because it means that, it keeps it rather elite for themselves. God forbid that it be twice the size, and then, you'd have Breitbart and all these and podcasters coming in there on a regular basis. I think the New York Times and the Washington Post and NBC and so on, I think they quite like it being exclusive the way it is right now, with just one rotating new media seat that always gets the opportunity to be called on first by Carolyn Levitt. But look, I mean, I think actually that the Washington Press Corps has been quite sort of reasonable in this presidency. They haven't got lunatics like Jim Acosta standing up and abusing the president. And Carolyn Levitt she really has command of that room. And I think she has the respect of everybody in it and a little bit of fear. She's a remarkable press secretary.
So on that note, I have a weird, very specific question, Miranda, which is I have a colleague who once jokingly referred to Trump's aesthetic as the gold started going up increasingly in the Oval Office as, quote, late Saddam. What do you make of Trump's his renovations so far? Some people were a little perturbed by the rendering of what this ballroom will look like, but it's clear that there's a lot more gold in the Oval Office. Is this, Trump wanting to really put his physical stamp on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? Like, help us explain or help us understand a little bit about what he thinks when he does these things.
Yeah, 100%. It's him putting his personal stamp, but also he just has such a pride in the White House and it being the sort of jewel in the crown of American democracy, and he wants it to be at its best. And parts of it are a little shabby, and look, I don't find what he's done with the Oval Office at all unattractive. And I think that the ballroom, I was in Scotland at his golf course there where, he just had the meetings with Ursula von der Leyen and Keir Starmer to make those trade deals in Europe. And he showed us the ballroom there, and it is magnificent. It has 8 massive chandeliers. It's quite elegant. It's high ceilinged, beautiful kind of cornices and inlays, and just very tasteful, lovely. I mean, it's opulent, but not in a disgusting way. And I have been and stayed a night in one of Saddam's palaces during the Iraq War. And Yes. Well, it was taken over by the US government, obviously, and the US military. And in Baghdad, and it looks from the distance to be beautiful. The Australian Army was in there too, and so I was sort of embedded with them for a little while, but it's very tacky. Like you go in there and it looks like marble columns, but it's a very thin sheet of marble that's sort of wrapped around, and it only goes up to just above eye height because I guess they just ran out of money. And it's sort of, it's not actual gold, I don't think. It's sort of tacky gilt paint. Whereas Donald Trump prides himself on this is real gold. And he's picked out the eagle that is in the center of the ceiling of the Oval Office, which was just sort of in relief in white. And he's picked that out in gold, and it looks beautiful. So, I mean, I haven't been there for a few weeks, so I know that he keeps on adding more golden highlights. But I think it's quite beautiful. So I don't think people should complain about it. And, when sneering sort of New York magazine writers or New York Times writers speak about Trump's aesthetic, they're kind of harking back to a 1980s Trump, which was the fashion then. It was like over the top, gaudy, glitzy, goldy things. And, Trump's taste has moved with the times.
Well, over the years, I've been clear about this. I'm not just pro-birth, I'm pro-life. And being pro-life, of course, means standing with mothers, not only before their baby is born, but long after. And that is exactly why I partner very proudly with Preborn. Preborn doesn't just save babies, they make motherhood abundantly possible. They provide free ultrasounds and share the truth of the gospel with women in crisis, and then they stay with real practical help, including financial support for up to 2 years after the baby is born. Amazing. This is what true Christ-centered compassion looks like, not just for that little baby, but for the mother too. And here's where you can make a difference. Just $28 provides a free life-saving ultrasound. One chance for a mother to see her baby, and when she does, she's twice as likely to choose life. Preborn is trying to save 70,000 babies this year, so don't just say you're pro-life. Live it. Help save babies and support mothers today. Go to preborn.com/Emily or call 855-601-2229. That's preborn.com/Emily.